Hey folks, today's interview question is what is the difference between heap and stack in memory management? Now, before I get to that, something I wanted to explain the context of. So, as a DevOps engineer or an SRE, you are expected to have some background in software engineering itself. Of course, if it's a junior role, then the expectation is lower. But if it's in a senior role, you're expected to be a full-fledged software engineer. You have to have some solid background in software engineering. So even for junior roles, then you still are expected to understand some aspects, some foundational aspects of software engineering. Otherwise, you could possibly be a good DevOps or SRE, even if a junior one. That's why this question is actually uh, part of software engineering, not so much about DevOps specifically. So that's why this question is coming in, right? So now, if you want to pause the video for an answer, you can do that. In the meantime, I'll remind you, if you like the content I create, please subscribe. That helps my channel. Now I will get to the answer. I put some of the details here, but really, the key difference is the following. When we create a function and pass the argument as a value. Let's say that I create a function that sums up two integers, a and b, and I pass a and b, right? The values of those, when the function is actually loaded in memory, there are new memory locations in which these values are actually copied into. The a and b will be copied into a new memory location. That will be part of the stack. As soon as the function is done, those memory locations are released for use by other part of the code, right? So that is the stack. So as the functions get built on top of each other, as they're done, they get released as soon as the function is done. However, if you're using pointer reference to pass uh, an argument to a function, for example, let's say, and in other videos we'll talk about the actual pointers and whatnot, right? But the point is, when you're passing in the argument as the location of the memory, not the value, right? Then even when the function is actually done, that memory location is not released because that could be used by some other function or the main function or some other part of the code, because the compiler cannot possibly release that location. That presents a problem, because what if you call the function 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times, right? Or multiple functions are doing these operations 1,000,000 times. That means eventually you're going to run out of memory because these things are hanging around. That's called the heap, because eventually at some point, some part of the system is going to do a garbage collection. It will go through and find these memory locations that are no longer in use, and it will dump out those memories to trash. That way you're not running out of memory. Again, in summary, stack is when you're passing arguments as values. They get copied into new memory location, and they get deleted as soon as the functions are done. Therefore, there's no risk of running out of memory. If it's passed through pointers or references, then that is not cleaned up immediately, and that creates a problem of, you know, heap. That's as the title suggests, and that heap is then eventually at certain interval is cleaned out by another process that figures out which ones of these are actually needed and which ones are not needed, right? So I hope you found this useful, and I will see you in the next video.